Welcome to Go Go Kaiju Show, where we have
Okay, count of three here.
No, I was gonna go, and then I got tongue-tied.
Let me count of three here. 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Go Go Kaiju Show Take 3, where we have a healthy obsession with kaiju. I am Kent, and with me is this guy.
Jason, how's it going, everyone?
We were about 50% of the way through the podcast, and Jason...
You said a third away, now 50%.
Jason forgot to hit the record button. He's like, oh, crap. So, we were, like... in the early parts of the discussion, and he found that out, and I'm just beside myself. So, and then this is the third take, because then I tried starting up again because I was so frustrated, and then I got tongue-tied. That didn't help. So here we are. Third time's a charm. We are discussing 1961's Reptilicus, both the American and Danish versions. At least I will, because this guy did not watch the Danish version. Jason, just what's the housekeeping stuff?
Yeah, if you see a subscribe button down below a video, wherever you're watching us, hit the subscribe button, smash the like, watch us on the streams down below, and you can watch both video and audio versions of the episodes on our website at gogokaijushow.com.
Plot synopsis for Reptilicus for the second time. Oops, I about read my final thoughts. That would have been really bad, too. This is just not a good outing here. Okay.
Yeah. This is what happens when we're out for a month doing some other stuff. Like this guy over here is pretty busy with other things.
I was, yes. All right. During a copper mining excursion, damn, I'm hating having to read this again. The excavation team discovers some flesh and skin of an unknown creature beneath their feet. The specimens are taken back to the Denmark Aquarium in Copenhagen to be studied further. After a segment of the tail is discovered, it is realized that the original drill wound on the tail is in the process of healing, and the rest of the tail is regrowing the unknown creature. After the tail is placed in a nutrient bath for a while, what emerges is a full-grown creature named Reptilicus. Reptilicus escapes the aquarium and proceeds to rampage across Denmark. In the Danish version, Reptilicus also rampages neighboring countries. Reptilicus appears to be unstoppable and is able to move across land, sea, and, in the Danish version again, air. In the American cut, it's able to secrete a poisonous venom. During a water-based depth charge excursion while looking for Reptilicus, Dr. Otto Martens discovers that Reptilicus can regenerate any part of its body that is blown off. Just as the bombing ceases, one of Reptilicus' front legs is blown off. Reptilicus returns to land and proceeds to attack Copenhagen. Frustrated as to how to kill the creature, Brigadier General Mark Grayson resolves to simply blasting Reptilicus to bits, collecting the bits, and destroying those as well. But Dr. Martens implores Grayson to not proceed with the plan. Sven, the miner who discovered the fleshy bits to start the movie, makes some comment about wishing a hypodermic could be used on Reptilicus after Dr. Martens suffered a heart attack earlier and becomes mostly bedridden the rest of the film. General Grayson gets an idea, and along with Sven, Connie Miller, and Dr. Martin's eldest daughter, Lisa, they make a chemical concoction at a nearby university that is loaded into a shoulder rocket launcher and shot into Reptilicus' mouth. The chemical, moments later, puts Reptilicus down permanently. The camera takes us to the bottom of the ocean to view the arm Reptilicus lost early in the movie as it slowly moves, and the movie comes to a close. So, this was a movie that the Danish and American versions were made simultaneously. And all but one member of the cast returns for the American edition. The person who was replaced was the actor who plays Connie Miller, and she was replaced by a blonde German girl. And the reason why she was replaced by this other actress was because the Danish actress could not really deliver the English lines as well as her co-stars. So they brought in this other actress to basically at least mouth the English dialogue. And so all the actors anyways had their lines redubbed anyways after the fact. There are 3 differentiations between the Danish version and the American cut of this film. These 3, I think, are what really distinguish the 2 versions. Not one version. Here I go again. This is the second take and I still mess it up. One change is that in the Danish version, there are more romantic scenes involving Sven and Dr. Martin's youngest daughter, Karen. These end up happening, maybe anywhere between 3 to 4 times. There's even a scene between the 2 girls, Lisa and Karen, about, I guess, Karen's past love life. I mean, all these scenes do is kind of slightly bring us more character development. But otherwise, look, let's be honest. The love story here, if you've seen the Danish version, just slows the pacing down. Another difference is that the American version doesn't include Reptilicus flying around on bat wings. They just thought it was silly and didn't bother to include it. And then the final difference is that in the American version, they have Reptilicus spew out a poisonous venom or acid, whatever you wish to call it. And there are some smaller differences here and there. Again, the American cut in a few areas either reorganizes a couple scenes or cuts some scenes a bit shorter. But the 3 that I just mentioned are really the biggest ones that differentiate the 2 versions of the film. Otherwise, at its heart, it's the same film, just one different actor and different pacing as well. So, yeah. Final thoughts are that.
But I was telling Kent about this, that I think it was sometime last year that I got the film on 4K here, and I did manage to watch it in 4K, and like with some of the visual effects on here and stuff, and it was a bit grainy because, you know, there was a lot of gripes and stuff with people saying with a lot of the upscaling of of these movies to 4K, and there's quite a bit of graininess here and there. It's not quite as bad, but you can still definitely tell in certain areas throughout the film. But as far as the visual effects and some of the things in there, boy. It's just, it does not look good, especially the one scene where the one farmer was going out when when the house was getting destroyed. It was in the middle of the movie. Boy, that was, it did not look good. It did not age well and everything.
We did a commentary on this odd number of years ago, and you and I laughed our heads off in the middle of the commentary. And here's another thing. That's another difference. Obviously, I didn't put it as the big difference because it's one little moment. That is another difference because in the Danish version, they don't include that crayon-looking farmer sliding down Reptilicus's throat. That was done by the American production company.
And you can see it like right on the cover there as well of the farmer guy.
How is he in a city now? That makes no sense in the context of that picture.
No clue. And look at the Peterson guy. He looks really cartoonish.
You know what? Okay.
And before you go on your rant, in this cover, in this case here, you know, like some of those X-ray type of posters with Godzilla and Gamera where they kind of have the bodies and you kind of see the insides. Well, they kind of pretty much did the exact same thing with Reptilicus here, which I thought was pretty cool looking.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
So just wanted to show that one.
I would like to get that 4K version. I'm going to wait a little bit because I've got 2 different DVDs of the film. And when I watched the Danish version, there were a handful of moments where the actors were talking and for some reason there weren't subtitles. So I'm assuming that is fixed with a more, how should I put this, legitimate release.
Well, it's like this one. This one comes with 3 discs with 2 Blu-ray disc ones, and then the other one's the actual 4K one, which it's still in the player at the moment. So,
I want to talk about Peterson, or as he's also, I think, technically known, if I remember correctly, from the Danish version as Mikkelsen. In the Danish version, you and I did see this at one point in a G-Fest a number of years ago, where he has a singing sequence with some random kids that come up to him in a park, and they sing a song about
remember that.
How terrible and awful Reptilicus is, even before Reptilicus is even fully regenerated. It's really weird. It doesn't, move the story in any way, shape, or form. It's just there. He also has a couple extra scenes in the Danish version than he does in the American version. So in the American version, he puts his hand in that electric eel aquarium a bit sooner. In the Danish version, he has, I think, 2 more encounters where he kind of stares at the aquarium and thinks about putting his hand in there. I do like that actor. He has a slightly extended scene, too, when he goes and visits the police when there's that power outage and Reptilicus is getting ready to break out. He is getting on his bike and he's having trouble getting it to go because he's just an idiot. And then when he shows up at the police department, somehow the bike, his head is through the body of the bike. And then he takes it off and then he talks to the cops. Well, in the American version, you don't see that part where he comes into the police department. You just hear him come in. So Mikkelsen, Peterson, whatever you want to call him or whatever his actual name is, he has a few extra bits as well. With that being said, as we're on the topic of people, the character work in the movie is really not great. But at the same time, if you're thinking about it as a generic Monster on the Loose movie, it's pretty standard for that.
I would say it's kind of in the middle, maybe just under average.
The Danish version, even though I would argue in a very, very small way, the characterization is a tad better there. There are too many characters involved for what the movie really needs.
Just from looking at the cast list and everything, it's like that seems a bit much, even compared to Valley Guanji.
Yeah. I mean, and that's one of the things that's really great about the American edit is that, you see Karen in the film, but she's barely in the darn thing. She has a more extensive presence in the Danish version than she does there. And that's what I think, in its own way, the American version is superior because it's just paced better.
And kind of like what you said there, as far as Peterson, like in the American version, and probably in the Danish version, like soon as he goes to the police station there, you don't really see him ever again.
Well,
and then when you talked about the synopsis here earlier about the the main Professor Otto Martins, you said that when he had a heart attack and he was pretty much bedridden for the remainder of the film. Although in the final scene, you did see him standing there running towards Reptilicus as soon as they sent that rocket launcher missile to Reptilicus full of the drugs and everything. You did see him there. It's like he just sort of came out of the middle of nowhere after that heart attack scene that he had there. You didn't really see him at all between that and then pretty much at the end of the movie there.
Well, yeah, and I knew you were going to call that out, but yeah, the reason why I put that in there is that basically during the depth charging of the ocean there, and he wants this boat. I don't know who he's talking to because we never see some sort of boat captain or anybody, but he's basically being asked to go out to one of the boats to get them to stop with the depth charging, and then he just has a random heart attack, and then you see him twice later in the movie. You see him once confronting Grayson about telling Grayson to not blow Reptilicus up into a million pieces, and then in that quick scene of running up to Reptilicus. But otherwise, there's nothing there. And when I watched the Danish version first before I watched the American edit, and I thought to myself, did the actual actor maybe have some sort of either scheduling conflict or actual health issue? Because I just thought it was weird how they handled his heart attack. But then no, the same thing happens in the American version as well. And I just thought this was so really weird how they did that. And we never see him in a hospital bed. He's just taken off and you don't see him. And there's only 1 or 2 moments of lip service devoted to saying what actually happened to him. So it's just, again, I mean, look, the general, I did some deep research on this. This was not supposed to be like the Danes' attempt at creating a Godzilla movie. They were just trying to cash in on the giant monster craze, nothing more, nothing less. And so this movie had a budget, if I remember correctly, I'm not going to take the time to pull it up. I think the budget was like $380 some odd $1,000, at least put up by the Americans.
It's actually lower. The budget was $233K.
Oh, So, I mean, it looks it because, look, let's just get it out of the way. The Reptilicus marionette, while decently detailed, doesn't move that well. The miniatures look okay. The miniatures don't collapse that well. And there's only 2 or 3 different areas where they actually film the movie. That's it.
Yeah. And the one other gripe that I have is the camera work when it came to Reptilicus. They really made, when they tried to do the close-ups of Reptilicus, it was just really blurry and like sometimes you can't really even make out certain things. And I know that they were trying to get that sort of the slow motion type of feel of it being a giant and everything, kind of like in the Godzilla movies during that time period. It was the FPS slow motion technique that they were doing just did not turn out very good in that regard. And then also the whole thing about going about it, trying to destroy Reptilicus from the army perspective, and then with Mark Grayson here, trying to blow up Reptilicus and everything with bullets and then bombs and all that stuff, and then have the flamethrowers at it, which was very super effective. You would have thought that they would have just gone with that method, but no. After that, there's nothing about solving the whole Reptilicus thing with the whole flamethrower thing. Just throw a bunch of more bombs and bullets at it. Some more.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking of that too. That's just bad writing, dude. Because, I was thinking of that the whole time. I was even yelling at the screen when I watched the Danish version first when
I'm sure
Martins and Grayson were confronting each other. He was like, well, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, use the flamethrower. Use it. It seemed to be more effective. Because the way they talk, that Reptilicus's hide is almost impenetrable. And I'm like, the flames actually looked like it did damage. But you also brought up, the scenes, the close-ups. What you're talking about is in the American version, because that doesn't happen in the Danish version. The American version, what they do in a number of sequences, they have more of those shots where it's a close-up, and then they slow it down. And they reuse 2 or 3 different shots every time that they do that, including one of the shots that happens earlier, even in the American edit, of Reptilicus slithering away from the countryside. And those shots are distracting. They're obvious as to what they're doing. And like you said, they're grainy. Mm-hmm. They're grainy. None of that shows up in the Danish version. The Danish version, you don't have any of that. They're not reusing any of the footage or anything like that. They don't have any of the close-ups or the slow-mo bits or anything like that, let alone a crayon-drawn farmer sliding down his throat. So that's where I think the Danish version is very superior in many ways. The American version, I would say, is more superior in terms of its pacing because, like I said earlier, it more or less omits Karen. It omits most of the
lovey-dovey
unnecessary romantic scenes and stuff like that. So the movie is not only about 10 minutes shorter, it just moves faster as well. Also in both versions, and I don't quite understand it. So the scientists and the miners, they make this finding, right? And yet somehow the UN thinks they need to bring a general to look after them long before this thing even becomes a monster. And even then at the time, they don't even realize what's happening. Again, it's bad writing. Let's just call it out. It's bad writing because the general should not have even bothered to come in until Reptilicus actually appeared because it makes no sense. If it's a scientific thing, why would any military personnel need to be there? There's just no point to that. By the way, the actor who plays Mark Grayson is also an actor, and I don't know if you've seen this movie. It's really good. It's kind of it's a really interesting movie, and it's kind of it messes with your head a little bit near the end. It's a movie called Journey to the Seventh Planet. They visit what is the seventh planet? Neptune or something like that.
It's not Uranus, that's for sure.
Well, no, it's right here. But it's really interesting. I would recommend you check it out. I first checked it out on Netflix many years ago. I don't even know if they have it now, but I found a DVD copy of it. It's a really unique and fun movie. If you like a lot of classic, interesting sci-fi films, that's one worth checking out. But yeah, it just makes no sense for the character of Brigadier General Mark Grayson to be coming in early as he does in the movie. And I find it really odd, too, that our main characters simply call him Mark, whereas in real life, and we've seen it in other movies as well, where if you have a military commander there, even just a private, you address those individuals at least by their rank. You would say private or Private Jason or general or, General Kent or something like that. Like you would not say, hey, Mark. Oh, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
This isn't some Tommy Wiseau movie. Okay. I mean,
could have been.
Maybe. I don't know how old Tommy Wiseau was at the time of this. Maybe he was a little tyke. Maybe that's how he got his idea for his own movie, The Room. He decided to watch Reptilicus and somehow made his own twisted version of a movie out of watching Reptilicus.
Let's see, when was he born? I think that's how you spell his name. Crap. Come on. Tommy was... There we go. Oh, okay. Yeah, he was born right around that time. He was born 1955.
So yeah, he would have been a tyke at that time.
not really tyke, just well,
about 5-6 years old.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, this is a very interesting movie. Like I said, it was both American and Danish versions were made simultaneously. Even for our mistakes, this podcast is 25 minutes. So
yeah, close to 25 minutes.
I honestly I really want to talk about the compound. This I think is a big weird thing that somehow got messed up in both versions of the movie. So in both versions, they are making this chemical compound and they shoot it in Reptilicus's mouth because the mouth is the most vulnerable part of the creature. Before they even make the compound and shoot it off, they were talking about making a chemical compound that would knock Reptilicus out so that they could then, via Dr. Martens, properly dispose of Reptilicus. In both versions, they say that, but then they shoot it off. It hits Reptilicus in the mouth, and that kills him. Even though they said, but before they even made the compound, that was supposed to knock him out, so they could then properly kill him without blowing him up.
And was it you bring this up? And I was actually thinking about this myself when they were talking about the drug, and when it gets to the ending, and then having was it the couple of gals, and then the professor running towards it, and then you have the blown off leg at the end, and then end scene. And I was thinking to myself, they shoot this missile full of drugs and stuff. What's the aftermath of everything? Are they gonna sort of try to keep it in some sort of containment or whatever? Because this is not technically the end of the movie and stuff. I don't even know if they were planning on it, but whatever. It's it just gives you a lot of the questions until you bring that up. It's okay, so that what they said and shown doesn't really add up.
Well, no, it doesn't. And okay, the exchange Grayson and Martens had, near the end, Dr. Martens is being a gigantic dick in that scene because Grayson is basically saying, look, I am part of the military. The only way I know how to kill something is to shoot it or to blow it up. And he's basically asking Martens, what do you suggest? And Martens, I forget the exact words, but Dr. Martens essentially says, it doesn't matter. And I'm going, that's not helpful. You can't come to him, tell him not to blow it up because it's a bad idea, and then he asks you, well, then what is the proper way of killing it? And then you go, it doesn't matter. What?
Well, it's you had the super effective flamethrowers. You should have seen that right in front of you. You were there witnessing it.
Again, it's terrible writing. I'm not blaming the actors. I'm not going to blame the characters because the characters are the result of writers. So it's just, and I've seen a lot of bad movies in my time, and there have been some really stupid movies that not only have I seen, but that we've covered on this podcast. But that particular moment was one of the worst moments I've ever seen in a movie like this, because usually the general is like, well, I'm not going to listen to you. No, this is a general that is the opposite of that, because he goes, look, I only know how to blow things up. What do you suggest? And the doctor goes, it doesn't matter. What? Usually the doctor is like, no, you gotta burn it with fire, or you gotta inject it with a poison, or do something. And the doctor is the villain here. Let's just call it out. Martens is the villain of this movie.
Just completely incompetent.
Yeah, because he goes, it doesn't matter.
I don't give a shit anymore, man.
I know. And then I'm just like, you know what? I don't care about this movie anymore. No,
Done.
Yeah, and it's in both versions. Even in the Danish version, he basically says the same thing, where it doesn't matter. And it's like, well, no, it does, because you have proven that, but also your findings suggest that, and you're telling him not to blow it up. So that tells me that you should have some sort of backup plan, and you're telling him it doesn't matter. So it's telling me that you're keeping something from him.
Want to go final thoughts?
I'm ready for final thoughts. I mean, we've covered everything. It's a general Monster on the Loose film.
Yeah. Kind of like what you said, there's really not much to add. I mean, if you see the movie, it kind of speaks for itself. And then it's like if you got the I don't want to mispronounce it. It's vinegar syndrome. There was a point where I mentioned to Ken, I said vintage syndrome. But if you watch the 4K version of it, just have low expectations when it comes to the visual effects of it, especially with what they call the acid slime in the American versions. Like, it doesn't quite look as good, like it doesn't quite age as well, particularly the farmer scene.
The farmer never looked good, even in standard def. So
yeah, it's like the shadow shading and everything is like, this is that part probably was one of the worst visual effects I have seen thus far.
Okay, I'm calling time out here just for a second. I got to go on a quick rant here. You are bringing up something, and I know I've talked about this on the podcast before, but why, just why, are we taking old films and trying to make them into high definition? I sort of understand it because people want it, but more than anything else, it's about making money from these companies, and I'm okay with that because, look, you got... And I can guarantee you right now, you got probably a better Danish version of Reptilicus than I do here. Because like I said, there were a handful of moments where the actors in my version spoke, and for whatever reason, there were no subtitles. I'm sure that's all fixed in your version. I am glad that these films are available, but why do we have to upscale them to high definition? You can put them on Blu-ray, and I'm sure you don't need to necessarily transfer them to any sort of high definition. You could probably keep it in standard def and still put it on a Blu-ray. And then
at least on the was a disc 2 of the Blu-ray right here is the 95-minute original Danish version.
And I don't get, and again, like I said, I've talked about this before. Any film that was not originally filmed digitally does not need a high def version unless you are doing the true high definition method, which is going frame by stupid frame,
like Toho,
cleaning it up, and then really transferring it into high def. And I forget what the method is. I think it starts with the C, where it's not true high def. They kind of put it through a projector or something like that, where it's sort of a high def light version, where it's partially 1080, but not really. Just stop it, okay? Unless you are willing to put each and every frame of a movie, of an old movie, through the process of cleaning it up and making it true high definition. Stop. Just stop putting these movies in high definition format, because all it absolutely freaking does is make these films, whether good or bad, look terrible in certain scenes. I remember when you and I had another podcast where we were covering movies, and it was short-lived because it just got to be too much for us, where we covered the original 6 Rocky movies, maybe even up to Creed even, I don't remember. But I watched the 6 Rocky movies in Blu-ray, and the only one of those Rocky movies that had any moments of true high def was the fight scene. Otherwise, the rest of that movie was filmed with in an original film, and so were the previous 5. And I noticed throughout that entire series, when I was watching them as we did that podcast, there were scenes where it just did not look good. It was grainy. The coloring was even off, especially in some shadow scenes, because it was not true high def. And just stop it. Unless you are willing to take the time, frame by frame, and make it true high def and clean the thing up, don't bother. I would rather have these older movies in standard def and throw them on either a very high quality DVD release or even throw them on Blu-ray, because I think you could throw standard def on Blu-ray. The only difference with Blu-ray is how it plays in a particular player, plus the discs are bigger than DVDs. That's my only understanding. Plus, Blu-ray, of course, gives you the option for high definition should you choose to do that.
Oh, and it
contains
more, and it contains more storage.
That's why I'm saying it's bigger than a DVD. But I don't understand why it bothers the heck out of me, because I kid you not, a lot of these older movies look better on DVD than they do on Blu-ray when they try to even do some sort of high def work on them.
I think a lot of times too is just the matter of the time, the resources, and the money, which is kind of the thing why probably some of these distributors just say, let's just try to get this upscale it, try to do it quick, release it, and try to get as much cash as much as possible. I think that's just sort of the one thing, is just try to do it in a faster process with less resources as much as possible, because if you do more resources, the more money it's going to get, and you don't know if you're going to make any return on the trying to do a true upscale high def version of a particular movie. That can be a factor into it.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. If you're not going to do it right, then just simply do a nice standard definition of it. You can still throw it on a Blu-ray or something like that, but just leave it in standard definition format. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sorry. Continue your final thought.
Well, I don't think I have really much of a final thought on this. I would just say that the movie is pretty mid. I would say maybe the only best thing about it is probably the score of Reptilicus. It's probably the only best thing about it. Everything else is probably mid. And the visual effects part on the American version is probably the worst thing about it. So originally, as far as the rating, I had it as a C-, but through this whole discussion, I'm going to probably change my rating on this to a D+.
All right, so here are my final thoughts. I almost didn't have a final thing written up because I was just brain foggy all week, but then this morning I was able to thankfully write it up. Reptilicus is one of those unique movies where two different versions of the films are made simultaneously and by and large with the same actors. The only difference with the actors is the Danish actress playing Connie Miller is replaced by a blonde German actress who could deliver more of her lines in English than the Danish actress. While the two movies are at heart the same, there are a few differences that make each version of the movie unique. Those three differences are that the romantic scenes between Sven and Karen are removed, Reptilicus flying around on its wings is removed, and the addition of Reptilicus shooting a poisonous venom. The Danish version, in some minor respects, has the better character development with a few extra scenes, with some of them as well, of course, the tropish and non-plot driven romantic scenes. Even the Night Watchman, Mickelson, as he's known here, gets a few extra scenes, including a ridiculous singing sequence where he and some random children sing about how monstrous Reptilicus is before it is fully developed. The Danish version also is more bloated with more characters. Boy, that bad writing. Is more bloated with characters that don't add anything to the story and so the Again, brain farts all week. In contrast, the American version of the movie is about 10 minutes shorter and significantly more streamlined in its storytelling. But the American version has its flaws too. I believe the omission of Reptilicus flying around, regardless of how silly it looked, took away some of the menace of the creature. I also cannot believe they thought it was a good idea to composite a terrible crayon-like version of a farmer falling into Reptilicus' mouth during one of its initial rampages.
You like saying that phrase.
And that's because that's what it looked like. And the reusing of various shots of Reptilicus from earlier in the movie as we get closer to movie's end is distracting and unnecessary. These scenes are also shot up close and for some reason slowed. In both versions, oddly enough, when the chemical substance is fired in Reptilicus' mouth, we were told by the main characters that the compound would only knock Reptilicus out, thus giving Dr. Martens the opportunity to dispose of Reptilicus appropriately so it's not blown to bits and risking the regeneration of thousands of Reptilicus, or maybe Reptilici as they're called. Who the hell knows and who the hell cares? Instead, this compound is treated as the means of killing Reptilicus. Even when Ib Melchior of the Angry Red Planet fame came in to clean up the American screenplay, this somehow got by him and everyone else. In the grand scheme of things, Reptilicus, regardless of which version you watch, is a silly monster romp with a decent-looking marionette with unconvincing creature movement and some head-scratching storytelling. Character work isn't that great, and the destruction sequences are very lackluster, given that the Reptilicus marionette was so light it wasn't able to destroy most of the miniatures it came in contact with. Both versions of Reptilicus offer a bit of something that the other version doesn't. The Danish version provides a bit more Reptilicus and character work, while the American version gives us Reptilicus spitting acid and a more streamlined story. So which version do I prefer? Honestly, I think both are by and large the same in terms of enjoyment, but if I really had to pick a version, it would be the American version, due to it omitting the love scenes between Sven and Karen that bog the movie down a bit and add nothing of substance to the story. Nevertheless, Reptilicus is an okay monster flick, whichever version you choose to watch. And I gave it a C.
Oh, wow.
It's fine enough.
With all that complaining and everything, you tell me. That seems a bit high.
Well, here's the thing, okay? Let me give two separate scores then. I will give the American version a C, and I will give the Danish version... No, but the Reptilicus flying scenes in the edition kind of make up for the love scenes. They're both a C. Because I do like me some more Reptilicus in the Danish version, but the American one is more streamlined and I think easier to watch than the Danish version. So, yeah, I think both versions are a C. It's fine. It's a very problematic movie in its own way, but it's still enjoyable enough that if you're looking for some monster action, it's not. You could definitely do worse, but it's not the greatest you're going to find either. Mm-hmm. And so with that, here in a couple of weeks, we will be doing Ultraman Ginga, actually on Jason's birthday. Unless he doesn't want to do it on his birthday.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll have to talk.
So, regardless, we'll be doing Ultraman Ginga, the 12-episode series, on our next episode. And, yeah, that's what we're going to do the next time. Hopefully, Jason remembers to hit the record button early.
Yeah.
Not two-thirds of the way through the episode.
So, again... Make sure to hit the subscribe button as well as the smash the like button. And you can also find us on the following streaming sites that you see listed down below and follow us on the following social media networks. And you can find both video and audio versions of our episodes at our website at gogokaijushow.com.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to see you in a couple of weeks where we talk about maybe our favorite suited tokusatsu hero, Ultraman.
Maybe. Well, we'll see you guys next time.